Hi, super friends. Welcome to the rabbit hole that we call SUPERnormal,
where we delve into all the parapop culture topics that you love.
So throw on that aluminum foil hat, get the popcorn ready, and make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification to let you know when new episodes of SUPERnormal drop.
Sit back, listen with an open mind.
Enjoy the show.
Well, guys, welcome to SUPERnormal.
Spooky.
Matt and Megan went sexy, and I chose this.
It's hot. A lot of people are into Alice.
Listen, either I am a vampire playing baseball or I am a mom offering you snacks because you played a really good game, kiddo.
Yeah. That haircut, remember that was really popular, that haircut?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I feel hot right now.
But
I just want you to know.
I really, really would like you to go stand in the sun, though, and I would like to see what happens.
I do have, I made myself sparkly,
Oh, okay.
just so you know, because
fair.
I am a vampire.
Right.
I am also psychic.
She was so committed to her role that she actually ordered a bottle of body glitter from 2008. So, she's
Nice.
real good.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I hear it's thundering out, and that is my cue for baseball.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, we have a lot in store because today we wanted to talk about orange slices. No, vampires. We want to talk about vampires.
Because it's spooky season.
Yeah, it's spooky season. If you're watching this, it may not be spooky season for you, but it is when we're filming it. So enjoy it. That's what we do
Or
here.
you could be like me and have spooky season all year round.
Facts.
So there you go. It works for everybody. It doesn't really matter what time of year it is.
What is your favorite part of spooky season?
Being spooky.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. I love Halloween. I love, obviously, ghoulies and ghosties and the darker side of life. I've always liked. There's just always been a little something there for me.
Do you watch Halloween movies? Like, I know people like binge those.
I do like Halloween movies, but I've always loved vampire movies. I've always loved vampires.
Well,
Since
let's
I was
kick it
very
off
little.
right. What is your favorite vampire movie?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but one that I was thinking about, which I had forgotten about, was Once Bitten, that I remember seeing when I was little. And I think that peaked a little, couple things for me. You guys have seen that movie, Once Bitten?
Is that with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sexy. It's sort of like a sexy vampire movie. So I don't know exactly what it was, but I just was like, yes, I like this.
Well, doesn't he go to the grocery store and start trying to find steak and trying to suck the steak
Blood.
or there's something
he
in the blood?
No, so he gets meat and he does end up drinking the blood, I think.
That's
at
right.
some point. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, to be
I want to
perfectly
watch
honest,
that
but-
now. There was
Yeah.
this hot lady that bit
Yes,
him,
that's
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay,
I keep
everybody
wanting
watch
to
Once
say-
Bitten.
Faye Dunaway, but it's not Faye Dunaway. I think it's like Faye Dunaway adjacent.
Yeah, I don't know the actress. But yeah, she was a hot older lady that,
Didn't she have like a gap in her front teeth? Like I remember, like I could see her
Yeah,
in my
I think,
mind.
yeah, I can see her. I can see her. She almost had a Madonna-esque vibe, with
Like
her
Carly
vampirism.
Simonish.
Yeah.
A little
Once Bitten is a 1985 teen horror comedy film.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Lauren Hutton.
bit. Lauren Hutton.
Okay.
Good old, all right. Good old Lauren Hutton.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Dana, what's yours?
Well, I'm a Bram Stoker's
Yes.
Stroker.
Also love. Yes. Wow.
So,
Okay.
Why do you
Put the
like
back
it?
down, Dana.
I'm sorry, that was an art film I watched. No, it's Bram Stoker's.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah. Also a great
No,
one.
I like that one.
Yeah. Love that one.
Yeah, no, that's. And then what's the? Oh my gosh, what's the one on AMC? It's not on
Interview with
movie.
the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire is my new favorite. I can't believe I said Stroker. My
I
God.
do.
It's pretty on point for me. No, but I love Interview with a Vampire on AMC. Not the original movie.
You don't like the original? Are you an Anne Rice hater?
No, I love Anne Rice. I don't have any problem with Anne Rice. We down.
Oh, it's Tom Cruise that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's the only movie, that and Far and Away are the only movies I can watch with him in it. I just can't.
Really?
I love Far and Away. That has nothing to do with vampires, but Far and Away is a great movie.
To me, he's an energy vampire. That's just me. I love like camp vampire movies, but I also like really old school ones, like Bram Stoker. See, now you got me seeing Stoker. Bram Stoker's Dracula with Winona Ryder in it. I love that one. Or like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original movie.
The original movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah. What about the show?
I love the show. We'll get more into the show later on.
Okay.
But, love me some Buff.
Well, we have to talk about. We cannot talk about vampires and not talk about Twilight. I'm sorry. I know that Dana's a hater of the Twilight saga. I love it in my own way. You know, there's definitely parts about it I don't love, but I love it for a nice vampire romance. You know, toxic, sure, yes, I can see that, but it's just special. It just has its own. The writing is horrible. I mean, if you've read the books, it's terrible. But it just, I don't know. Again, it does something for me.
Listen, Spider Monkey, I think it was horrible.
Have you watched all three though? You only watched the first one. Did you even get through the first one?
Yeah, you know how long it took me to watch the first one? Like, both you and Matt were like, are you done? You done? You done? Like, it took me a full week. And it was this part of that movie that broke me. Like, when they started playing baseball in that movie, spoiler alert, guys, if you watch the first movie, they play baseball. And that broke me. I couldn't get on board.
Dana cannot fathom vampires playing baseball.
It wasn't a home run.
There was no purpose in that part of the movie. It was really stupid.
Well, we had to bring in the antagonists, and that was how they did that.
There could have been so many ways, but baseball.
Well, you know, thunderstorms and hitting bats hard, and they're so strong. That's.
Stephanie Meyer was like, "Use what you got."
Yeah.
Speaking of like funny vampires, What We Do in the Shadows. I love that show.
I just started watching it because you guys were like, you gotta start watching that one.
I was going to see if I could do an accent.
I
don't think I can make it happen for the whole show. So I don't know. But we can try.
I can do Nandor's voice.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Dana, Willey, and Megan, Alisa. I'm Mathew the Annoying.
Close.
I'm working on it. It's better when I don't have fangs in.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Yes.
I believe that. So, okay, well, we're going to talk about vampires and all the different weird shit to do with vampires and all the things that people claim are vampires and the people that say they're vampires, and we're going to get into it.
So let's get into the history of vampires. Let's establish that first.
Well, yeah. You know, it was funny because I was like looking at like the myths about vampires even before we get into the history of it. There's like all of this like, I don't know, like vampires sleep in coffins and where does that come from? And there's so much that comes from movies that have nothing to do with the folklore or the early history of vampires. Yeah. You know, so I was like, what are some of the myths that we come across around vampires? And when you think about it, most of it comes from books and most of it comes from movies. And so, you know, it's like the sparkly skin, you know, we get that from Twilight or even so, you know, the coffin thing is that that most of them are like they come from the graves, and that's why the coffin is part of it, but was never part of the early folklore or the early history. The movies inserted the coffin part of it. The thing about vampires not being able to see themselves or see their reflection, we hear about that a lot. And this stems from the old belief that mirrors reflected one's soul, and that's why they couldn't see each other.
Soulless.
Yes, they were soulless.
Yes.
They lost their soul because they were a vampire.
How dare they?
Yeah. But in reality, they just need a selfie stick like the rest of us. They can be seen.
There's a couple like mythos.
They're on like TikTok. We'll get to that in a second. There's some people on TikTok that you can see them.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, they were like a lot of vampirism. From my understanding, now this could be a lot like Outlander. We live there, but a lot of it had to do with like people afraid of death, right? Afraid of aging, and so a lot of people way back when were worried that their loved one would come back during like the Black Plague and all that stuff. So they used to bury their dead. And I know that like some diseases made people look like they weren't aging when they were burying them. Like they were like, okay, there's things about them that were seeing their fingernails grow. And so they thought that their living were getting up at the night and basically sucking the blood of, innocent people out there. So they used to take stakes, and this is where like stakes used to come in, and nail them into their coffins.
Right.
They would also take a brick and put a brick between their teeth. So like if they exhumed them and the nails were still there and the brick was in their mouth, they didn't get up. They were like, not a vampire. So that was like huge for a lot of people. Because I mean, think about the devil in Salem, right? Everyone thought the devil was in the woods and the devil was around everywhere. So I think it just kind of like translated based on that. But I think it really, really took off around Mary Shelley's Dracula.
Yeah.
Of when she wrote that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And continue, Dana. I can see that you're about to say more.
Well, the next myth is, well, it's almost, I'm glad you talked about the wooden stake because it was a way to immobilize them. But there's also the talk about the only way to kill a vampire is by decapitation or burning it. Mm-hmm. So, that's the other thing that we hear a lot is, but Matt talked about the wooden stake and where that all came from, but you'll hear a lot that you decapitate the kappa and you're gone, and that's how you take care of taking them or fire.
Yeah, they used to use metal stakes too, so I don't know if just wood was easier to get, and so they changed it to wood.
Yeah.
They're like, let's make it accessible for everybody to kill a vampire.
Iron's expensive,
That's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, pop culture makes it easier to kill vampires because you have holy water, right? You have
it doesn't kill them, but it burns.
Enough.
Yeah.
I've seen some episodes where they drank holy water and they killed them. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What show is that?
Buffy.
Oh,
when
Buffy?
When she turned 18 and they took her powers away, they put her in a house with a crazy vampire and she outsmarted them. Spoiler alert. And he drank the holy water.
Huh. My memory is lapsing, but I believe you.
Fire. Fire is huge. They're a little sensitive little beavers.
Yeah, the sunlight,
the sun
too.
Yeah, the sun. They catch on fire and just. Yeah.
Imagine being afraid of a candle. You're like, I'm getting too close.
So
I am kind of afraid of candles now.
Oh,
they could start a fire, right? Like that's always possible.
There was a way to confuse vampires. Did you ever hear this one?
No.
So you couldn't be attacked by a vampire unless you threw a lot of rice down, and then a vampire had to stop and count every single grain.
Oh, I think I have heard about that actually.
What are they? What's that movie where they drop the matchsticks and he's like, definitely 284 matchsticks.
Yeah.
Like the Rain Man of vampires. Like is that what?
Uncle Ben's got to be a horrible place for a vampire to work.
I know. I mean, or the best place because they keep him out of trouble. But back to the sunlight thing, Matt. The whole thing, like they're going to burst into it. That comes from vampire fiction, the book Nosferatu from 1922.
If that was you on the phone and you on the bus, then who was flickering the lights? Nosferatu!
But in older folklore, vampires could walk out in the sun and all of that. So the whole sunlight thing didn't come until 1922.
Oh, damn, I didn't know that. I just learned something here on SUPERnormal.
And he's not a sexy vampire. He's a hunchbacky, has and not attractive. Not an attractive vampire.
I'm telling you, you're going through all the myths. You're getting to the next one. It's like you guys are the psychic vampires, not me. This is crazy. So the next one is that vampires are like undead aristocrats. Like they're the like sexy, like, well, I mean, you look at you guys. You like are the sexy ones. I'm like the mom who wants to give out fruit snacks. But I mean, if you think about it, they're like well dressed. They're like vampires have become very sexualized in like modern culture.
Fetishized.
Yeah, fetishized, like the whole thing. But like in old folklore, like vampires were depicted as the bloated, rotting corpses and that sort of thing. To Nosferatu, the depictions of that, not hot, not somebody you want sneaking in your bedroom at night. No. So there's been a shift in the cultural, perception of vampires as to recent.
I mean, technically they can shapeshift in some people's lore because they can go from being that really gross vampire to essentially being a goddess of the night like Megan,
Or what
bats.
else? Why they like baseball?
Bats.
Why?
Because they can turn into bats.
Yeah, see? There we go. Now we found the segue
There you go.
between the baseball and the vampires.
Maybe that's why she wrote it that way.
Yeah. See?
How
You
else
had
can
to
you
be
get
smart
bats?
enough to get there.
Full
There.
circle moment.
We figured it out.
Well, I mean, I personally wouldn't mind Robert Pattinson watching me sleep, but that is creepy that he did that in the movies, in the Twilight movies, I think.
He was that infatuated. I love that.
Or
I
controlling.
Controlling.
I have blood on my hands. It's okay.
I committed. You committed.
Yeah.
I like that. So, allegedly, vampires are more attracted to virgins than anything else. That's what I've heard. I'll have to ask a vampire next time I see them. I'm like, virgin or not?
So they would love Cher from Clueless.
100%. She can't
She's a
drive
virgin
either.
that can't drive.
Yeah, I mean, this all hits because same. So I guess we go back. I'm just gonna keep going back to Twilight in my mind.
Go for it.
She was also a virgin, Bella.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we must have somehow brought that folklore into that mythos there.
I don't know that I don't have the myth buster on that or where that comes from. Do you know that, Matt?
Yeah, for the virgins? Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a lot like any horror movie genre where, you're innocent. Mm-hmm. You're pure. Nothing has corrupted you. You taste
Your power.
better.
Yeah, like you have more of a pure essence of your blood. Like you haven't shared yourself with anybody. You're the most potent, most special, right?
Yeah, Scott down the street hasn't touched you yet. And that's why we love you. We did prepare something. I think now's a good time to take a break. We prepared something because we want to bring a little astrology into this, Megan. And so we found
Who's we prepared? Who is we
Me and
prepared
Dan.
something?
Me and Dana, we did a little homework because we want to
Okay.
like get your opinion on seeing if this is accurate based on if you know them. So
Okay.
Dana and myself researched some vampires based on their birthday, and we would love for you to tell us what you think about their sign or anything that you get astrology wise.
So wait, okay. The vampire is born as in like in the story at this time.
Whatever birthday we could find, we got it.
Okay.
So we want to see if you see any correlations.
Sure.
Or if there's something where you're like, I could see that for that person, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, Dana, who is our first person and what is their birthday?
So Edward Cullen
Okay.
is a June 20th.
So that is not a Gemini anymore. Well, what comes after? Now that you guys have me on the
Cancer?
spot, I'm like, I can't think of anything.
when
yeah,
they make
cancer. Yeah, it'd be cancer. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah, I could see it for him, a cancer. Like, so let's talk about, I guess. But here's the thing that bothers me about this, because I would want to see a whole chart for somebody, right? Because you can go, sure, I could sort of see their sun sign showing up here in the world like that, right? Which is sort of like how people see your ego, or like how you show up with your sun, right? Like the light you show to the world. But then there's like your rising, and then your moon sign, and then there's all the like the main personal planets. You'd want to see where those are in the chart too, because those also play a role for like the ruler of those planets and the placements. So I'm kind of like gonna get real complicated. I'm getting Virgo moon right now in my mind.
So if we give you a year, but we don't have a time, does that mess everything up?
They would need to know.
That's not enough.
Yeah, she would need to have the time.
I would need a time.
Can we make up a time?
No.
I mean, so
then we would have to pull a whole chart.
Okay, so for like, so let me just say like the things about cancers, like a generalization about cancers.
Beautiful.
Right?
Okay, go for it.
They can be protective, right, of themselves and of their loved ones. Cancer's ruled by the moon, so it's like the mother, right? It's like the mother can be very emotional, can be very nurturing, very connected like that. It's a water sign, but if you mess with them, that big old claw is going to come out, right, out of just all of a sudden, and it's just going to cut you off, or it's going to be kind of a little bitch, passive aggressive too. Cancer men are the worst. I'm sorry, anyone that's a Cancer man. That's a sun Cancer man. Okay. They are difficult. Let me just say. So he ran away. Like, look what he did. He left her and ran away and didn't communicate. Right? Didn't communicate. And yeah, I could totally see him being a Cancer sun.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Who's our next one?
So Lestat from Matt and I's favorite show, AMC.
I still haven't watched it.
Vampire.
I still have not seen it.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Run.
That's what my look is inspired by. So feel free to reach out to
But
it.
he is a November 7th baby.
Okay, so we're going Scorpio? I don't know this character. How am I supposed to compare it to someone I don't know?
Just what do we need to know about a Scorpio?
We know it, so you can tell us about Scorpio and we can tell you if it's accurate. Or not.
I will also tell you Dracula, also a Scorpio.
This makes sense. Like if I was,
there were multiple
of course,
vampires that were Scorpios.
Yeah, if I was going to write a vampire, I'd probably make him a Scorpio too, because it's like obvious, right? But that's also kind of like maybe too on the nose, like if you think about it. But so properties of a Scorpio. They're very secretive, but they love to hear everything that you have done. They want to know everything about you, every sort of secret, every sort of thing in the depth, right?
That makes sense.
So yeah, so any of the like more any of the qualities that you maybe haven't wanted to share with people, that's what they want to hear about. So like the really in-depth sort of stuff. They like to know facts too. They're very factual with things. And they will open up if they fully trust you, but it takes a while to get there. So you have to really prove yourself to them. They can be also kind of, they have the scorpion's tail. So as the crab has the big crab that comes, the crab, choppy hand, they have the tail that hangs on the back that you're not necessarily expecting to come and whip around and just sting you. And they can be very cutting. They can be very cutting with their words, and they will cut you out. They will just cut you out. And they can be a little like intense. Like intensity is a good word for Scorpios. Also like people that do tend to kind of go toward maybe the darker trenches of life, maybe attracted to a little bit more of that a lot of times. Not always, but can be. And so, and they're also a water sign. So also emotional, very emotional.
They're a little more
just like
a
brief generalization,
Aren't they a little more
zodiac sign. Yeah, so, okay. The intensity part of them, right, when we talk about sexuality, transfers over to that part as well. So, I mean, every sign's sexual, right? Like, everyone is sexual. Like, the intensity of the sexuality or the kind of darkness you might be attracted to in your sexuality is going to vary, right? So like with Scorpios, yeah, they tend to be attracted to like the darker things in life, and the depth, the things with intensity, the things that are like that. And so also why that is said to be for Scorpio is because something about Scorpio ruling the nether regions, right? Mm-hmm. So like each zodiac sign and each planet rules different parts of the body. So like it's reproductive system, like things like that. So different parts, and I don't know exactly. Like I know that that's part of it. So I think that sometimes those kind of things come over to like, oh, they're very sexual kind of thing. Now, gotcha. They could be, and there's going to be people that aren't as well, right? Like there can be, again, extremes. It really depends on your chart. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That tracks. A lot of them were Scorpios. The Louis Delac from also Interview with a Vampire is October 4th, so a Libra.
Libra. Okay. So Libras like balance, and they're usually pretty flirty and kind, and everyone likes them. And they're very likable, and they sometimes get a bad rep for having difficulty making decisions, right? So a lot of times they just want to make everyone happy, but sometimes you can't make everyone happy, and you have to choose one side or the other, and that makes it really difficult.
Did you watch the show?
No.
Because that's like his character to a T.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I love it. That was a good game.
That was
you
awesome.
didn't even know that was. They were all mostly like the same stuff. Like, yeah, but there were a lot of, like I said, there were a lot of Scorpios. There were a lot of Scorpios.
We don't have any Virgo. We don't have any Virgo vampires.
You know what was funny it was Bella Swan. Bella Swan when we Bella's a Virgo.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So then let's just talk about that quickly. So Virgos can be really hard on themselves. They can come off as critical, but it's because they're trying to help, right? So they see things very easily about, and I have a Virgo moon. Dana has a Virgo moon and a Virgo sun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so we just see the thing that needs to get fixed. It's identifiable very quickly, and it's just very obvious to us. So we're like, yeah, do this. And people don't like it. People don't like it. So we seem critical, but it's really coming from a place of help. So like Virgo is a lot about service, a lot about being helpful. It's the maiden. So like the virgin, the maiden. Oh, no wonder they made her a Virgo. How funny. Okay. And most of the time Virgos are much harder on themselves than they are on anyone else. And yeah.
It was good. Cool. Yeah. We had a Capricorn too, but we're gonna.
I mean, Capricorn's also.
The Capricorn was Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob. Mm-hmm.
But he's not a vampire.
We picked it just in case.
Yeah, that's why. But I can see it for Capricorn. I mean, Capricorn ruled by Saturn, and like Saturn is a lot about death and old age and doing things right. And I mean, Capricorns are very like go-getters. Like they set their sight on something and they like go straight for it. They don't really let anything kind of get in the way of that. Once they decide what they want, whether that is, to do with their career, they're very driven most of the time. Mm-hmm. And they're cut and dry. Like they're very Saturnine. Like it's very just like straightforward, cut and dry. They're very nostalgic too. They love old things that are made well, things of quality. There's a lot of that too with Capricorn.
That tracks. We should have saved that for the werewolf episode though.
Yeah. We'll get back to it. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. We'll hold on to it. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about like vampires on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Megan has judgment of these. Here's the deal. I know there's this whole thing of people believing they're vampires, right? So this is what I'm about to talk about. There's a whole bunch of people that call themselves vampires, believe that they're really vampires, and they live their lives as a modern day vampire in their own way, right? So whether or not they truly believe that they're immortal or not is, whatever, but they will get donor blood from people. So they're not biting them necessarily, though they may do that as well, maybe not to draw blood, just for fun's sake. But they get donor blood from people that is hopefully tested, for issues in the blood, and then they drink that blood. Now, I'm sure they also eat other foods and things like that, but they claim to be vampires. And so I did find one that I think is well known on TikTok, the vampire Jack Townsend, who goes live a lot, and he has a girlfriend and who donates blood, and I think there's other people too that do that. And then he has the fangs and the red eye contacts and the long hair, and he takes his shirt off a lot, that kind of thing. And it's his thing, and he does music and different things like that.
So he's living the persona of a vampire.
Yeah. But they say I'm a real vampire and I'm whatever, that sort of thing. And then there's this guy named Don Henry who was on a Discovery show about vampires and people consuming human blood and calling themselves vampires. And there's a lot of people that are in a coven, right? So I know in New Orleans and other places all around the world, really, there's these covens of people who say they're vampires and partake in having human blood, and they dress like they look like the traditional vampire, not Nosferatu, thank God, but the more, attractive ones maybe that we would see in Interview with the Vampire or whatever. That's sort of their vibe and the way they live their life. And look, to each their own. To each their own, and whatever. That's what I have to say about that.
Are they the ones that are living in New Orleans?
I don't know if this guy is, but I know there are a lot that do live there and do have a part in that. And look, as long as you're safe, as long as it is consensual, you're an adult, and if that's how you would like to identify as a person, I am a vampire and I drink blood, then cool.
Be cool evidence that comes through. Would you understand? I want to suck your blood. It'd be fun.
I mean, I used to run around saying that when I was a little kid.
Really?
I want to suck your blood.
It was a past life. Well,
I'm telling you, I was obsessed with vampires when I was little. I just always liked vampires.
You're still obsessed with vampires.
I mean, I don't know about obsessed. I don't know about obsessed.
I
do like vampires.
You like vampire movies. You like you like a lot of vampire stuff.
I do. I mean, I do.
I watched the new Salem's Lot. Don't do it.
Does that have to do with vampires?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. The whole town. The whole town, man. Just a lot of vampires.
That's problematic when it's the whole town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so don't recommend it. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't watch it.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah. There is I know you mentioned vampires in New Orleans, and I think if there's anywhere in the U.S., I think that's where we hear where there's a lot of lore, and if you were gonna be a vampire, that's probably where you would go hang out.
I'd go to Los Angeles.
Would you?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Why?
Because
why not? No, a lot of vampire mythology that I know is actually Southern California, and it's not just because of Buffy or anything like that, but I just heard there's a lot of vampire shit going on in Los Angeles.
Where?
Do tell.
I don't. They just say City of Angels. That's where we're going. I don't know. So I guess it's Louisiana and that.
Okay. Well, I know so New Orleans has a lot of the European influence, right? And that is where a lot of the ancient roots of vampire folklore and all of that came from, and that's where a lot of I don't know, a lot of stuff that happens in New Orleans, Nolans.
Anne Rice wrote a majority of her books, and she's from Louisiana, and
Correct.
I know that she's buried there.
Yep. Yep.
And that was huge.
Yep. And then there's it's the old Ursuline Covent, and it's the oldest building in the Mississippi Valley, and it's according to legend, the caskets brought to the convent in the early 18th century were said to contain vampires. No, this is actually, I walked past this building in New Orleans, and it's it's kind of up on this thing in this building, like up on the second level, and it's known as it's the old Ursuline Covent, and it's been tied to vampire lore. And according to legend, the caskets brought to the convent in the early 18th century were said to contain vampires, and people whispered that the Ursuline nuns were guarding something far more sinister. I don't know what that means, but there's like the nuns or the caskets had vampires in it, and that's what a lot of people say, oh, that's the vampires that were brought to New Orleans.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know that like Dracula's castle's a thing. That's a real thing.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Vlad the Impaler at all.
Yeah, let's talk about Vlad the Impaler. Okay, give me 1 second. I got to pull something up because I don't know. I want to say dates, you know?
Yeah.
Where's Vlad? Okay, so Vlad the Impaler from the 15th century. Vlad III, a Romanian ruler, is often connected with the vampire mythos due to his cruel practices, especially impaling his enemies. His legacy is heavily inspired in the Bram Stoker's, not Strokers, Dracula.
It's still funny. It's still funny. Well, I know a lot of like his. He would just take armies and just put them on stakes. And they used to say that he was so vicious that he would sit there and have his dinner while they just they were impaled on this stake. And essentially that's probably why the mythos also moved to wooden stakes, was because of Vlad the Impaler as well. 1 second, there was something really fascinating about him. I know you said that Bram Stoker essentially took him, and I keep thinking I'm like confused with Mary Shelley. I'm like
Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know Mary Shelley is Frankenstein. But I know that Bram Stoker basically took him because he was a monster, allegedly, into some people's views. I know that there are some people that don't look at him that way. So I guess it kind of depends on where you're from and, you know, if you're part of that.
I think the Romanian people, like in Transylvania, and I can't really speak for them, honestly, but I think that some of the people there looked at him like a hero, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. There's German stories, Dana. So your people.
My people?
Yeah. So works containing the stories about Vlad's cruelty were published in Low German and Holy Roman Empire in 1480. And they were originally allegedly written around 1460s, and they just describe his like campaign across Europe through Romania, on like how cruel he would be to people as he pillaged the countryside to get more land for his kingdom. So I know that there's like Slavic stories. There's you know, but it's huge in upper northeast, northwest. Europe.
Yeah. I mean, it starts all over the place. So it really starts like the first part of vampireisms starts in Mesopotamia. Like there's early forms of like ancient Mesopotamian texts that talk of a demon who drank of blood of infants. And then there's also a similar figure in Babylonian folklore. There's also Greek and Romanian mythology that talk about demons and monsters who suck the blood of young men. Maybe that's where some of the virgin stuff comes from as well. Yeah. So, and then you get into the Eastern European folklore, and that's where Vlad comes in, our boy Vlad. And then you go into, you know, the medieval and early modern beliefs, which, you know, the vampire hysteria breaks out in Serbia and Hungary, and people are exhumed, and just, you know, to Matt's point earlier, where people are exhumed and, you know, they're staking bodies and decapitating them and doing all kinds of things because everybody's freaked out. And that goes to Serbia and to other places like that.
It's still a thing, you know, like this is still like in certain countries and certain cultures, this is still a fear and still something they do to make sure that they don't turn into vampires.
It's really funny. I'm reading a little bit more about like how Bram Stoker didn't know anything about Vlad the Impaler at all. He just kind of like took Vlad the Impaler. He took Attila the Hun and then smashed another one together and created him, and essentially took a lot of his mythos. So that's kind of a fun fact that like he just took his free will just to be like, I want to write about him. But it took off. It was huge.
You know what was interesting I mean, there's a lot of like folklore and I think it goes full circle with anything in the spiritual realm of anything, right? You take a simple little something and then you add movies and you take books and you take this and you take a little of this and you take a little of that and everybody takes and pours on and pours on and pours on and then it's not anything like what it was originally supposed to be, and then you pour a lot of fear onto it as well, and it's just interesting that it's become this other thing, and now all of a sudden they're playing baseball and there are sexualized people that hang out in New Orleans, and you know it's interesting, but it comes and it happens with everything, I think, in spiritual or any subtopics that we come across, religions, whatever, beliefs, all of that. You can always you can start at the little seed of where something starts, and then you can track it very easily where everything shifts and changes because people add to it. And, you know, entertainment like movies and TV really implants things in people's brains of what something is or isn't.
It's weird. It's like the mythology of vampirism in Hollywood in TV shows has actually evolved to where they'll actually start to create one where it's almost linear, where people just branch off a little bit, like since way back when, where it's like they have to be invited in your home and you can recant your invitation at any time. Like you can't just invite a vampire into your home and then like once they're done, you know. It's like you had to invite them in and then you were in trouble, right? But if you were in a school that said welcome everybody, or if you had Megan, maybe this is where the welcome mat myth came from for ghosts.
Maybe.
Where it's like, because it's a welcome mat, everyone's welcome, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it just shows you that's like weird.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of fear-based stuff, you know, from all different areas, and like same sort of idea, like they kind of combine it all together, and they're just sort of like, maybe it's for ghosts too, you know what I mean? We'll just kind of use it in that way. Well, like, okay, did you guys ever watch Vampire Diaries?
No, but we did pick a vampire for that quiz that we didn't get that like year, so we couldn't get you to read for him. Do you still have it that Ian? We took the actor instead.
Oh,
but I don't know anything about
we got
him.
it. His was December 8th. But
he's a day after me. He's a Sagittarius. For him as a person, I could see that. For him as his character, no. For him as his character, I could definitely see him being like a Scorpio or yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of him, Damon as a character, and his. I mean, who knows? He could have been a Cancer as well. Like. Now I want to know. I don't know when his birthday is in the show.
Yeah, we tried to find it. We tried to find it.
I knew that you were a Vampire Diaries kind of person, so I tried to find it.
I've watched the whole series a few times, and it's fun because I've gotten to rewatch it with my daughter. So like we watched all of Buffy, we watched Vampire Diaries. Like, you know, it's just fun to kind of go back and watch those, or like. Now, this is not a vampire show, though. I think, do they have vampires on this show? But Teen Wolf, like not the movie, the show.
I love Teen Wolf.
Yeah, no. That's a different vibe. No, this is like a darker show. This one's like a supernatural, dark sort of show. Like a teen show. I like teen shows. I like the shows that are meant for teenagers.
Well, that's what I loved about Buffy when it came out, because it was an allegory for going through high school, which is allegedly hell, and making it like a monster of the week. And I don't know if Vampires Diaries did that, but it was like every week there was a different obstacle that became a monster.
It wasn't exactly like that, though it was through high school. But there always was some sort of drama happening.
You know, I don't know if I believe in vampires, but you know what I believe in?
Energy vampires?
I do. Do you like how I served that up?
I hit that. So what is an energy vampire? Because those are technically real.
Yeah, there's been quite a few energy vampires in my life. I think we've all experienced
Stop talking
those
about
in
me,
our life.
Dana.
I know. I'm sorry. She's here in the room. No.
You say energy vampire, I say fun sucker. You know?
But I mean, it's actually, I have actually seen somebody on TikTok that said that they're like, I don't drink blood. I drink your energy. Like I feast on your energy. Like, so I've seen that on TikTok where people are like, I'm the kind of vampire. I don't drink
Vomit.
blood.
All of that makes me want to vomit in my mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but there are real people that will just, have you ever noticed, like, after you hang out with somebody, like, you just feel drained. You just feel like, oh. And I don't think that most people know that they're doing this to you. Like, I don't think that they're purposely going out and they're like, I am going to suck the life out of this person. But there are people that after you've hung out with them, like, you just feel drained and you just feel like, oh, I feel like shit after being with this person. And it could be because it's all about them, or they like to trauma dump on you without asking permission, or, you know, maybe you have poor boundaries, because I think that's one of the things that we deal with. It's less about them and it's more about you having poor boundaries of saying, I don't have space for this right now, or I need to take back my energy and leave now, or I need to hang up the phone or not return a text, or have better discernment of who I spend my time with. Because I think it's one of those things is like, oh my God, this person drains my energy. Then why are you spending time with them? You know, it's paying attention to that sort of thing.
Definitely. I don't know, just that idea of somebody being like, yes, I purposefully try to steal the energy from other people and suck it. It's like, ew.
She said she's like, I go to concerts and you can just feel the energy at the concert and I just suck that in.
Well, okay.
Which is fine, I guess. But
here's the thing. Wherever we are, there's energy, right? When there's group energy, it's stronger. And at a concert in particular, yes, there's a lot of energy because a lot of people are there and they're like hyped and they're like really emotional with the music in some way or another, right? So that's just like a normal thing. And then if you feel that energy and you're just like absorbing that in, you're going to anyway just because you're there. Like you're not an energy vampire. You're not special being like, I'm sucking in all the energy. Ha ha ha. Like it's just gonna happen because you're there, because you're like a part of the energy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but she said it's also one-on-one stuff, but she's like, my favorite is going to like a
concert and or a piano party.
Yeah. But yeah, people, I mean, that's somebody who's deliberate. But I will tell you, 99.9% of the people don't know that they're doing it. They're like, oh, this person makes me feel good, and I'm going to trauma dump on them because I always feel better after I trauma dump on you. But there are energy vampires that'll suck you dry if you let them.
I know that you just started watching What We Do in the Shadows, but I love their energy vampire.
Yeah.
Who tells dad jokes to bore people, and then he sucks their energy.
I mean, that's legit, though. Like, there are people like that just are like that, right? That they know that they're just being like really boring or like purposefully boring or like, but to kind of control the situation, right? To control the energy, control the environment, because really they're just very manipulative.
That's funny.
Or narcissistic.
Yeah, it's funny. I like when he takes the phone book and starts reading the phone book in a driving instructing class, and everyone's like,
yeah. And he takes that energy.
So we talked about energy vampires. We talked about the Louisiana vampires and the Tik Tok vampires. We talked about movies and all that stuff and mythos. So what was your biggest takeaway from this week's episode?
My biggest takeaway is I need to run to watch Once Bitten because I totally forgot about that movie. And that movie... Oh, and what The Lost Boys is also... We didn't talk about The Lost Boys. That's another really good movie.
I also saw that when I was little. Yeah, I watched some great vampire movies when I was a little kid.
You know how I knew I was gay? Michael.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Michael from The Lost Boys.
He's handsome. Yeah. He's handsome.
David Boreanaz too.
See, I really liked, from Buffy, I liked What's-His-Face. Now I can't remember his name.
Spike?
Spike, yeah, Spike. I love
You
Spike.
seem like a Spike girl. Spike
I mean, he
season
has a
2,
good
though.
heart, though. So, like, when he gets his soul back and everything, he's, like, so sweet. And he's a poet.
He's a poet, Mama. He writes me poetry. I love that.
I mean, he sacrifices himself.
I was an angel kind of guy. I loved Angel.
He's kind of boring.
No, that's what I loved about him.
I don't like boring. I don't like
Matt just goes,
bland and boring.
Captain Consistent. I'm like, shh.
But he's not. So that's the thing is he's like, he's so like, I have to be good all the time. And so then when he like slips up, he goes completely apeshit, crazy demon, right? So like you got to find a balance between there because otherwise that's what happens. And then you get bland and boring. You get, I have to be perfect all the time. I don't know.
Well, it was the gypsy curse that made him do that.
Well,
I think he's a freak on a leash.
I mean, maybe, but
I think that leash had to be real tightened because if he had some goody happy, he
yeah.
He
I
wouldn't
mean,
suffer.
that's fair. That's fair.
But
So
think
I guess okay, when I remember that part, it makes sense of why he has to be perfect all the time and the way he has to be so constrained and all that, because otherwise other things happen. Then he becomes that evil demon vampire. So there.
True Blood. We didn't even talk
True
about
Blood.
True Blood.
Yeah, I love True Blood.
True Blood's really good as well. Dina, have you seen True Blood?
no.
Man, we got to
I'm
break you
Pam.
in.
I want to be Pam.
Pam is a bitch.
I know. I want to
That's
be
all you
Pam.
need to know, Dina. All you need
That's
to know.
all I need to
Pam
know.
is a bitch.
But in a good way.
In a good way.
In an awesome
100%.
way.
Matt and Megan are going to take me somewhere, lock me in a room, and make me watch all these vampire movies and
Like, you
shows.
like it?
True Blood's so good. You haven't seen True Blood? What the fuck, Dana?
Yeah, True Blood is amazing. No. I like True Blood.
Well, I'm really
Well-
glad that you feel better, Matt. Although I think we could have done this episode because Matt had COVID, and I was afraid that
Yeah.
maybe we wouldn't be able to do this episode. But it would have been okay because even if you were coughing,
Oh, shit. That was lame.
we could have still done it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I went
try to not
really
get-
far for that dad joke, and I hope I
You
didn't
did.
energy suck out of you.
Megan, is there anything you want to promote, like our Patreon or anything like that? You do a fabulous job.
Oh, okay. We have a Patreon that we have some episodes that are only being able to be seen through going to the Patreon and becoming a patron that you don't want to miss from other guests and things that we've had on. So you should absolutely do that if you want to get the tea that's been spilled, because there's definitely some tea that's been spilled over there. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification as well, because we have more episodes coming and you don't want to miss them.
This is true.
So try to stay without the bumps in the night. We love you guys dearly, and we'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.